you. Good afternoon. So this afternoon I'm going to feed off your energy. So please bring it here. It's graveyard shift, not nice. I think this topic is as close to my heart as I believe it is close to yours. In today's world, just like ESG, you can't get in front of a customer if your ESG imperatives are not clear. I believe that diversity is that business imperative today. And yet, despite the progress that has been made, despite the plethora of imbizos that have been held, women are still underrepresented in many industries, including ours. The stats the team spoke to earlier, I remember I wrote my LinkedIn earlier as on the eve of Women's Day to say that women still account globally for 28% of the tech workforce. In South Africa, only 23% of ICT roles are filled by women. And there's an even more significant gap, research tells us, in emerging fields such as cloud computing and data science. We've seen that women in the ICT sector earn 8% less than their male counterparts. We've been reflecting about even the advancements or, promotion of women, that you will see the disparity between yourself and your counterparts even as you get promoted. So this underrepresentation, I believe, is a missed opportunity, not only for us as women, but for businesses, for economies, and for societies as a whole. So today we're going to be discussing, and I hope that we will be vulnerable and open and honest with one another as we talk about diversity. From Wabo's keynote address in the morning, it's really been the theme that it's time for change. So if we're going to be driving this change, championing diversity, what are the things tangibly that need to be done? How do we move from where we are today to where we need to be and where we want to be? So my panel, we've dropped one. The man, he ran away. I don't know how we're going to bring you into the conversation. So I'm now left with the founder and CEO of Konecta, Ms. Yandisa Sokhanyile, an avid entrepreneur with deep interests in telecoms, in entertainment, and ICT businesses. Over the years, Yandisa has serviced blue-chip companies, government departments, and global organizations, honing her business, negotiation, I hope you'll teach us how not to be social entrepreneurs, and stakeholder engagement skills. Welcome, Yandisa. It's my pleasure to also introduce Ms. Nonhlanhla Moloko, the Group CEO of SAMO Engineering Group of Companies and board member of the South African Electrotechnical Export Council, a powerhouse in the engineering world. I think you said you are a core engineer, I think. Yes, core. Her expertise is in strategy and technical architecture in the electrical and telecommunications sectors as well. So welcome. I was about to go to the gentleman, but over here. So, ladies, we're going to keep it moving, keep it calm this afternoon. I'd just like you to start by giving me your own reflection about the state of women in business and in organizations.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us here. Well, I think it's very important for us to have really honest conversations I think that's one thing that's going to move us forward. We do a lot of conference talk, and I think that's what we wanted to do today, to have a business platform and opportunity, because we truly understand what it feels like to be on the other side as an entrepreneur. We are in a space where we are tasked with solving unemployment. I like it when government goes out and says, yeah, the jobs will be created by the SMMEs, the entrepreneurs, they're going to change, blah, 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 blah. Well and good. But the reality is there are a lot of challenges on the other side. And I always hear people leaving corporate and say, no, I'm going to start my own thing. I want to leave. I say, hey, don't. We need to be honest. Don't start, not yet. Just hang on there. Hang in there. You have to be built for this thing. This you have to be built for. Honestly, you need all the skills. You need to be an Alistair in a way and capture everything. And I think you have to have the passion for what you do. Without it, you're not going to last long. Though you need to upskill yourself. So from an SMME or business perspective, the reality is that it is not easy, especially in the telecoms and data centers. You see a lot of men, and also I think because the nature of the industry itself, it looks very masculine. You're thinking, oh, people are trenching. You're thinking towers. I know my friend likes that part of their work. But you have very few women that are represented there. And when you sit and you say, how do I collaborate with another woman-owned entity, you have to look hard in the telecom sector. In ICT and other sectors, it's easier to find. But in the space specifically, you have to look really hard. There's so many times where we call each other and say, do you know somebody who does this? Is there another woman we can get into this? It's very difficult. So this is what we're advocating for, to say, as difficult as it seems, there are so many other opportunities. We've got enterprise and supplier development that we spoke about. That presents an opportunity for you to have somebody that can hold your hand and support your business while opening the market for you. So there are those opportunities that we need to take up. So the representation is still very low, especially on the entrepreneurship side. Yes, in corporate we see there is a bit of transformation, and we're happy with that progress. But from this side of where we're sitting, we are very lonely. We need to fill these chairs. We're supposed to have 4 people sitting here and talking, So we're really advocating to say, let's have more of women in the space. And we are here, and that's what we want, to hold each other's hand. And the support of the ladies sitting here, noted their shape. Yeah. So with your support, we can actually really make it.
Thank you.
I think from my side, I can only just add on to what Yandis mentioned. McKinsey did a study across 15 countries that in any organization where there's women executive involvement, there's increased financial performance. And that's why everyone is in business, it's to make money. That's why we are in business, is to make money. So I want to encourage all the ladies to say, take agency with that, like run with it. Don't make assumptions that, this, that, and the other. Statistically, factually, evidence is there that women do contribute to financial performance. The fact that we are not enough in the executive boardroom, the fact that there are not enough entrepreneurs, the fact that we are overlooked a lot of times, that is something that will always be a struggle. That is something that will always carry on in parallel. But take agency and run with that confidence and that knowledge that inherently your intuition and your own street smarts and the things that I've seen women do at grassroots level just inspire me, because she can manage things and create things out of nothing. What more can we do in the business environment? So just take agency from that and own it and just run with it. And I think as Yandi has mentioned, if we're united and have one voice, the impact and the change that can happen in ICT is undescribable. We can together make that change that's required.
Thank you very much, Nonhlanhla. You mentioned something very important about women often being overlooked. How have you found your voice in this male-dominated industry, and especially being a woman in technology, not on the support side, but actually being an engineer yourself?
So I like to tell people that I used to be an engineer. now I solve problems. But what I tell a lot of people is that there are a lot of feminists, male feminists in the industry. They don't know they are. Some do know that they are. So if you are serious about your craft and you're serious about the work that you do and you take yourself seriously, you will attract those kind of people. I was fortunate enough to be supported by I was always the same, the only girl in the class, only girl in the department or whatever. But if your mindset is, if you walk into a room and that's your mindset, you're going to just be limited. Just know that the guys are there to support. I call them my feminists. They know who they are. And I've taught them how to be feminists and how to fight for us and how to make sure that they include us. And I will not lie to you, not a single male person in a position of power that I've approached for support has said no. They can say, maybe I can't do it now, but they will never say no because at some level, they do want to support us. So, yeah, just do it.
Just do it. I like that. And with that, I think you spoke about it's a mindset change that we have to have as women as well. And Yandisa, I think when you spoke about paying it forward. In other spaces, we say lift as you rise. Have you found that similar to the male feminists, women have been forthcoming in paying it forward in your business journey?
Yes, definitely. I agree with Nonhlanhla with the males. So when I look back at my journey, it's always been the men that have been there. I see the men are nodding. Yeah, they do. We need. I said we need to have these open and honest conversations today. The men are there, and even when I look around the room, it's funny, we were having a conversation. When we sent out the invitation, men jumped in. They were the ones bugging to say, can we come? We are coming, And I noticed this. I'm saying, oh, wow, this is great, And they've always been there. Men are very smart in a way, They know they need us, right? And they'll work with you because it benefits them. But with us, we tend to shy away from things. For me, I say, use me openly. I'm here. If you need anything, don't come and ask a different question when you know what you want, because I want to help. So as women, you tend to think, oh, I can't call Nonhlanhla because I haven't spoken to her in 3 years. But for men will just say, hey, let me call my friend. I went to high school with him. Hey, dude, there's this tender. Guys are like that. And that's something that we lack as women. So we don't seem to be helping each other because we shy away from reaching out. And also we tend to think, if I bring her, what will people say? It's always all in the mind. But when you spend time with men, you realize men don't care. Even if they don't know something 100%, they're in there, they listen to you like, oh, yeah, this is what we're talking about. Like, okay, you just need to make a way and find a way of working around that environment. But men are there because they see an opportunity and they can see the value in you and how that value will benefit them. So this is something that we need as women to say, if Nons does this and I'm not good at it, how do I then come to her and say, girl, can you come and fill in this gap? Even in corporate, if you see a woman-owned entity, if you can push, I have women sitting, in these tables that have pushed and fought to say, we want you in, they are there. We just need to probably change that mindset and be more open. And I think for us, mainly, it's always in the mind. We overthink. I think that's nature of being women. We overthink. We are oversensitive. If I didn't greet today, you think, oh, she's not talking to me or anything. We need to just remove that and also start looking at men and see, if that guy does this, how can I use this guy to get to where I want to get by working with him openly? I think we're here. If we know each other, there's a purpose for us to be together, right?
So you think it's not intentional that women are seemingly not supporting one another?
I think so. I don't, honestly, I think because I always look at the good side of people until you give me a reason not to, but I don't honestly think that women go out there and say intentionally, I don't want to assist this one, you know. I think sometimes it's the limitations that we put upon ourselves. And even just presenting something, you can find a woman that can present something, but you start thinking, I need to motivate this thing, I need to do this. But sometimes you do find situations where people say, oh no, I've had this situation where somebody's really, really blocking or they don't want to help me. For me, because I'm an entrepreneur, I don't take no for an answer. So no for me means, okay, you are not ready to listen or you can think about it. So I never take anything personal or business personal in that matter.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those reflections. Nonhlanhla, you're also an entrepreneur. How do you have tough discussions around business, around money? I think a number of us here are entrepreneurs. And one thing that I learned, I think it was with a Standard Bank program that we did, is that women are social entrepreneurs. We do all the work, but we're scared of charging. We're scared of having difficult conversations. How have you overcome it in your environment?
So it depends. I think if we are talking about with the customer, experience will kick that out of you very quickly. You're not going to have money to pay the bills. So you need to have your processes correctly lined up. You know that you don't work without a PO, blah, 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 although they expect you to do stuff like that. But experience has taught us to not do that at all. And I don't think it's a tough conversation. It's a very elementary point of respect. You don't expect a blue chip company to work without a contract or to work without a purchase order. So you can't expect that from us. I wouldn't even frame it in that it's a tough discussion. It's quite elementary.
And yourself, Yandisa?
I tend to agree with you. I've seen it because when we do our projects, we always make sure that we outsource some of the work to women-owned companies. You can ask for a quotation. The woman will ask you, what's your budget? And I say, no, you know your value. You should be knowing what's your rate. It mustn't start with the budget. Give me your rate, and then we can negotiate on that rate. With men, they'll give you a quote. You know, it's even you ask somebody, how much do you charge for just a small thing? You know, they'll say, oh, no, I charge this much. It's very easy. And I think I do pick that up. And I think with experience, you start learning and say, this is, you know, because the more you grow, then you realize there are responsibilities now. I can't be charity. I can't be working around people's budgets and so forth. But I think that happens in the initial stages of the business or when you start launching yourself as a brand or when you start doing the invoicing. So you're not sure and you don't want to seem to be pushing the boundaries, you know, and you develop over time. There was a time where we did a lot of POCs and I said, oh, at this point I should be a pilot, you know, because we're doing all of these pilot projects. But that you learn something from, because without that pilot, you don't have a proof of concept that you can demonstrate for the next customer, right? And if you want to go that route and say, I want to take a knock on this to do a POC or to get a lead way somewhere, you should do that within a certain budget or parameter within your business to say, I can speak for free, maybe make an example, and knowing that this is what is going to give me, and I can build a profile so that I can be credible. When we are starting out, you start from zero, you start from somewhere. There has to be a threshold. That's why I also get surprised when they say, not really surprised, they tell us that the businesses will die within their first 3 years, you know, which is normal because at that point you are doing R&D. You are still establishing yourself. This is where ESD comes in. You can't expect a person who has never delivered a project to actually now say, I will be charging this much for a project that I have no clue on what you're doing. But if you are on the R&D stage, you can be growing as you go and you have that support. But really, it is out there. But I think for a certain period in time, there is a point where your fee you're not really sure about because you're not sure about your experience. And I think as you get into the business now, you say, no, we're not going to take that. We're not even looking at a project of that magnitude. That is not ours. It's something that you really develop over time.
Thank you very much. And I'll just stay with you, Yandisa. So, having gone through the journey yourself, what would be the advice that you would give young women that are aspiring to enter and to excel in the industry?
One, look for enterprise and supplier development, and for every corporate, just find the ESD people, and I'm glad that we have them here in the house. So those are the people that you start with if you want to go to corporate, because what you see is that most companies will have a tier 1, a tier 2. If you are starting out, you are a tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4, depending. They're not very comfortable with giving big contracts to a small entity. So you need to also just be realistic in terms of what you go for. Go for partnerships, secondly. Those are what are going to get you moving forward. Always partner with someone who's got the better experience than you, and then you can learn along the line. Give yourself time and be patient. Business is a long stretch. Forget the 2 years. Project your 10 years to say, how do I sustain the business over the next 10 years? Once you do the long stretch, it'll give you that sustainability. Then 3, just empower yourself as well. Attend conferences, do online courses, meet up with people, network. That's very important. You attending, whether it's a webinar or a conference, that's what's going to introduce you to the industry. You learn more, you get to know more people, and you actually develop yourself in that way. So I think people just need to be patient with themselves. And also the network is very important. Being in a room with people that can actually change your life is very important, because you'll never know when that moment will happen for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just curious that we said, Nonhlanhla, that we've been having these discussions year in and year out in August, and then we just, at the end of August, we just go back to normalize. What do you think should be the conversations that we're having? What should be the actionable steps that we take concretely in terms of championing diversity?
I always say that it's not my saying. I think somebody shared it at one of the August functions, that diversity is a fact, but inclusion is it's an imperative. Diversity will always be there. It's about what we do with it and how we use it as a stepping stone. The ladies, there's a lot of ladies here who are here in support of women in technology, who are come from corporates, and their being here is what's the next step? How do we then grow this organization and make sure that any sort of the young companies coming in, the SMMEs coming in, what will they actually benefit? And I love that when Wabo mentioned that the plan is the portal, the support expanding outside of South Africa as well. Everybody here, I think if we could all just pledge to support that vision and pledge to support that and grow that, and not grow weary of the women functions and not grow weary of having that discussion of where is that, where is the in your company, wherever you are, if you ask a very direct question, what is carved out for women? Which policy carves out what budget for women? How are you guys actually meeting your targets? What is very specifically carved out for women? It's not a difficult question or ugly question to ask, but it's something that an organization like we are supporting today can run with and use to empower the young women who are coming into the industry. That's really, for me, I feel, yes, policy takes long, etc., but it's essential. It's getting your building blocks correct, because once it's in policy, the implementation is easy, and the organizations that we want to support are able to better support the women-owned ICT entities.
Thank you very much. I like the pledging to support this initiative, and I'll give Yandisa, when we end off, to say maybe we just want to think about it. How can we be part of WeTech Africa? But we'll just at the end. I'll just open to our audience, to our floor. Any questions for our panelists?
Thank you so much. First of all, ladies, very good conversations, very good topics. So for me, it's not a question, it's more a comment, and it's more directed to everyone in this room. So I'm currently also running my own business at a startup phase, but before this, I was an executive in IT. And one of the things that I've realized is that in the data and analytics space specifically, it's very difficult to find women, and especially black women, coming into the industry. So my question to everyone is, what are we doing to try and get the people to, study the right courses and for them to enter these industries? I mean, analytics is probably the hottest thing in IT right now. But I can tell you, in every company that I've worked for, women were less than 5% of the staff. And that doesn't sit well with me. We try very hard, say, for example, through your learnership programs and everything, but there's a disconnect from the universities and the higher education side, where the skills are supposed to be coming from. So as an industry, as corporates, as companies, we need to look at that and try and get young black women to start entering these industries. Sorry, thank you.
Hi, everyone. So this is a new field for me, IT. I'm in broadcasting. And it's been a wonderful experience to sit with you ladies, hear some of the conversations that are happening. And especially around this topic, how women get to empower one another. And for me, I think I asked, Gugu was there, I asked this question in our own setup in the field that I'm in, that you find sometimes that even though we are told that we must create spaces to empower one another, we find that the women are themselves the gatekeepers of industry, are themselves the protectors of patriarchy in the spaces that we are told that we need to break into. So my question is, how do we really, really do it unapologetically? Because I was saying to the ladies during the break, you look at people like Maria Ramos, people like Nicole Fritz. You may not agree with their politics, or I'm forgetting Magda Hassani. Those women, they are unapologetic about what they believe. It's either you take it or you don't. They don't care what you think. They're going to say what they want to say. How do we as black women pass the phase of just talking and get to the phase when we are doing stuff? And we are doing stuff together. And we are doing stuff not to say to the other woman, look at me, I'm doing better than you. But to do it in collaboration, to say, I want to see you there as well. So that when we are entering into spaces where we say that whether it's your field of telecoms or my field of broadcasting, if Zonke comes into the scene, we know that this thing is going to move from here to here, whether you like it or not. And you have that kind of sway, and you have that kind of influence in the spaces that where we are in. So that's for me, my observation. My question is, how do we move from just merely speaking to doing and unapologetically doing so?
I think today's discussion has been about, we are tired of just talking. How do we move? And I'd like to take back the question to us in this room. How are we going to make input into We Tech Africa so that this is not just another talk shop? I spoke of my experience 15 years ago. We're establishing the South African Women in ICT, South African Youth in ICT. And until now, I think they really were not making any real impact. So how do we in this room empower Yandisa and Wabo and Portia to come up with actionable steps. What would we want to see on their blueprint? Before you, Portia, I want us to discuss it in this room. What do you want to see in their strategy for actionable steps? Sorry, I couldn't see. Thank you. Yes, for me.
Yeah, so as the lady was talking, I was actually just talking to my colleague here, and I was saying, I think one of the reasons we are where we are as a company is also as a result of, other women execs, in corporates that have also supported us, right, to be where we are. And these women have been intentional, right, about us getting onto the journey and, growing us and, connecting us to, the right people, and sending people our way for partnership, opportunities and collaborations, right? So for me, in my experience, I have seen that women are rising up and women are being intentional in terms of trying to assist us, right? So for me, I would say Yandisa Nonhlanhla, it really is about that, just be intentional about it. And I've heard you mentioning that there's some projects that you do and you sort of prioritize women. So those types of things, I think we need more of that, but also we need a way of knowing when things are happening. For me, I find that there's always an issue around accessing the opportunities or actually knowing about them, right, in the first place. So for me, that's always the biggest challenge. When you talk to someone and they tell you, "Oh, you just missed this opportunity," right? Oh, that cuts deep, right? So how do we make sure that the opportunities are visible? How do we create that space, right, so that we can tap into some of those? But yeah, it really is about being intentional as women.
Hi everybody. Hi everybody. I've been to 3 of those things, and this is the first time I ask a question. I'm very shy. Sorry about that. So, my name is Kudiso. I'm from TKIT Telecoms. I'm not the boss, I'm not the owner, but my boss is a female, 100% female owned. She couldn't be here. So, but what I think I would like to see, or we would like to see, is, invitations to pitch our ideas, our solutions. Maybe you might not be, the person we're intending to, but you could definitely know more about what we do and introduce us to, the relevant people. I think more an opportunity to pitch, to present to you our businesses or our solutions, and then take it further from there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gugu, and I just want to add to her point. I think when Tabi was asking, what do we do after we leave this room? I think everyone more or less has the same feeling or thought. You can start by creating a community with the women that are in here. And that is what I think she was trying to put across. To say from the women that are in this room, including the gents, of course, create a community where we will not only have WeTech once a year, but have maybe quarterly engagements. It doesn't need to be a physical engagement. It can be virtual, where people come onto that platform and be able to do exactly what you were talking about. And that can be part of your blueprint as a start to everything else that is about to follow. And this should not only be for women that are only in tech. I'm also on Zonke's side of the world in the broadcasting space, tapping into the marketing side as a brand manager. It should be a place where we are all able to collaborate, because Yandisa might be great in tech, but there's other elements to what she's trying to achieve that might need my services. Those spaces would do exactly what you are talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister.
Good afternoon. I'm Thabo from Botswana. First of all, I'd like to say, I'm always amazed at the level of intellect and confidence, especially that South African women have. Maybe our people must take a leaf from your book. And secondly, I would like to say, look, I think we overthink this women empowerment thing, because for me, it's about taking things back to the basics. So, look, women, everybody in this room is here because of a woman. Number one. Everybody's intellect is derived from a woman. So, what women lack is confidence. Men are successful because we are confident, not smarter. Women are smarter. The articulation, like I speak to Yandisa, and I talk about the articulation that, when I'm around some of you guys, it's the first time I feel dumb, because I don't understand, a lot of things, especially that, I may be involved from a board perspective in the digital sectors. I'm actually a board member of Botswana Digital and Innovation Hub. So for me, let's go back to the basics. Women are nurturers and they are creators of life. So that is a strategy in itself. Because the mistake that I see with a lot of women that are able to get into certain positions or also be in entrepreneurship environments like some of us is they try and emulate men. Men are built for war. That's why we were sent to the wars to die and all of those things, Women stayed home because they're smart. They will run away from the bullets. So what you need is women that bring that nurturing aspect to spaces of business and entrepreneurship, so they can actually build enterprises that are full of, empathy and, all of the things that we are trying to do in the world right now. They are solely women. It's a women function. So let's not overthink this thing. Be emotional. You're a woman. So bring the emotion to businesses, bring the emotions to the space of entrepreneurship, bring the intellect, okay? And grow confidence. Because that is what is lacking. Like all of us here, the men here, we all fear our mothers more than our fathers. So I never understand it. Even, when we talk to the serious issues of GBV and abuse and all those things, you think about it and say, but every man has been whipped by his mother. That's why at some point, I don't know, I think back in the days when there was World War I or something, and people were warring, the presidents somehow, somebody said to their mothers, please call your sons. And they called their sons and the war stopped. So let's take this thing back to the basics. Let's not overthink it. Thank you. Oh, I've got 3 daughters, so I think about their future always, And I see this, and in my thoughts, because the future is women, okay? Women are taking over. So they must not take over men. They must bring a style of women. Because as much as men, we've built the world, and we should be proud gentlemen. Because we have built the world against all odds. It's difficult being a man. But we are giving you a world that is ready for the taking. But it needs the soft touch to take it forward. Thank you.
I would like to make a practical suggestion which actually worked for me in our previous company. that women-owned entities have to take deliberate steps to actually partner and collaborate with other women. Imagine what the narrative would be if all women who are in this room who have companies then say to themselves, in the next 3 years or next 5 years, I would not do business with any other company except for a 51% or more women, black-owned companies, until we then change, the tech industry. We start seeing practical, not valid solutions to the empowerment of women. I remember when I was at Adapt IT and how I actually met Yandisa. I attended conferences like this because we wanted to make sure that we have women in our ESD program. And I deliberately went to conferences to go and look for companies that are black women-owned, subsequently doing a proper compliance check and reference checks for these companies. And I'm proud to say that some of the women are now in the portfolio of ESD, including Konecta, which has subsequently been adopted as a ESD partner at Adapt. And we need to do exactly that so that we can then ourselves see that we have done what needed to be done to see the change that we want to see in our lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ladies, we've heard, taking it back to basics, partnering and collaborating with other women, creating a community from everyone that is here today, creating platforms where we can know what pitches are there, what business opportunities are there. And I think even in us who are in corporate, what job opportunities are there. So this is something just to chew on, and I'll let Portia respond first, and then I'll take it back forward to our panelists.
Thank you. Thank you for the robust discussions. I think it's very valuable. I first wanted to respond to the lady at the back. I don't know if she's there anymore, but I wanted to respond to the fact that it's an ecosystem, right? So although it does say women in tech, we are here to actually look at the entire ecosystem. And that includes marketing. It includes our go-to-market approach as well. So the ecosystem is involved in these conversations. And then I wanted to respond to the comment about how do we stop talking. I think for me, it starts with yourself. Be the change that you want to see. So if you are looking for opportunities, give opportunities to others. I think if we are striving to take these opportunities forward, we also have to push to see those changes. We have to push to open up those opportunities, to open up conversations, because we're only responsible for ourselves, right? And we need to be those change agents. So my challenge is to each and every one of you to be a change agent and not to look for things to fall into your lap. That's my first comment. And then I just wanted to thank Botswana over to my right. So we are definitely looking to take this thing into Africa. Currently, I'm doing quite a bit of work, with people in Botswana, BTC, for example. I've had a lot of exposure also working into Africa. So we're definitely not going to sit on our laurels just only in South Africa, but we are all African, and we are wanting to take this into our brothers and sisters in the neighboring countries. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, colleagues. Our panel, to give your final thoughts on this important topic.
Okay. The first thing I noticed, and Tawi, that question, how do you find your voice? That is a Women's Day, Women's Month question that I want us to remove. I get asked that question a lot. I'm like, I never lose my voice. When, how, why? It doesn't matter, And this comes from what Thabo just said about confidence. When somebody takes your voice, they take your sense of self-expression. So you can't say what you want to say. So when we give the narrative that women lose their voice, we're actually telling them that the confidence issue, you can't really express yourself, you fold in some situations. We need to have our voice all the time. Say it, whether it's shaking, you're crying, but say it, your voice must be there. And this is how we're going to build that confidence to move forward, you know. And also talking about the opportunities, I'm glad we have people here that are practical examples of taking advantage of opportunities, both men and women. I look across the room. These are people that personally have stood up and say, we will put you in. It's men, it's women that are sitting here that have backed me up, right? And with that, it was me going to them and hustling and say, this is what I want. It's that thing of not losing your voice. Be vulnerable and say, I need these opportunities. Don't pretend as if everything is fine. Business goes up and down, you know. Be open about it. Have people that you can say, listen, it's tough. You know, have that circle. And this is what we are forming with WeTech. Because with that, it's a group of women that we are coming together to say, we just don't want to have talk shops of events. We want to have impact and have an ecosystem where the opportunities can be shared. We hold your hand with those opportunities. Because the growth of another woman means the growth of, you know, the whole economy and the ecosystem. And sometimes you don't have to plug in people, connect people. Deals are going to happen out of these. We're not going to benefit from all of these deals. The problem is always looking, what is it going to benefit me? And then you start moving forward. Link people up, do good. That pays off back to you. You know, people rather, I'll say, you rather owe me a favor sometimes because I'm not going to benefit. It's not my thing. But I can see you two can meet up. I think that's why we're called Konecta. So that's what we basically do, and that's what we really need to do. When there's an opportunity, take advantage of those opportunities. And I think with WeTech, we'll talk after just to say, to do the roadmap of where the program is going. But I'm really glad that we have men in the room. I think it sounds better when a man says it, because it's those voices that we talk about and we say, guys, we need this. But we can't have these conversations without having men in the room, because they also need to take that back to their places of work and actually make sure we're creating these opportunities. But people are out there and they are willing to help. Yes, not everybody's going to speak the same language. Not everybody's going to help you. It's understandable, you know, but keep on looking. You will find the right people that will open the right doors. 8 might close, 2 might open, and that 2 can actually literally change your life.
Thank you very much for that stern response. Yeah, we're no longer talking about not having a voice here, hey? Thank you very much, Yandisa. And to you, Nonhlanhla?
I think from my side, I just want to encourage the ladies. I'm fortunate to operate both in the electrical and telecoms space. And I listened in on the electricity minister explaining why we have not had load shedding for the last, is it 150 days now? So 3 of his top performing, most improved power stations are run by women. And he was very intentional about replacing a lot of the power station managers. And he is on a roadshow to get input on how they can have policy changed to accommodate women running projects at that scale. Not just as power station managers, but the IPP, the triple Ps and what, that's what he's trying to do. And this is where I see WeTech going, making sure that by next year we've got the minister speaking about which woman in our industry has made the biggest impact and how have we impacted their policy to ensure that women are running, we just don't want the 30%, we want the big projects. Yeah. And that's how I enter a conversation and I get shut down, that's fine, but you're going to hear what I'm requesting at the end of the day. So, and the electrical industry has made strides in that, and that's lessons that we can learn and bring into this side just to move faster so that we don't have to learn and make the same sort of mistakes that they have.
Thank you very much for those closing remarks. I'm really challenged. And I hope that all of us are going back with a renewed commitment to champion diversity and create environments where everyone can thrive regardless of gender. Thank you once again to our esteemed panel. And thank you, colleagues, for your participation. This was my last panel. Thank you.